So guys, yay, I'm finally doing my Draw My Life. You guys have asked for it, and apologies as I cannot draw, but I thought I'd share anyway. So the story starts off with my mum and dad, who both met in the UK at Clapham Junction actually, but they're both originally from Nigeria and Igbo, but met here, and 1 year later I was born. And we were very happy, even though my head was massive, as you can see here. And then my sister Maureen was born. So this is my dad here, and you can see he's got a gorgeous tash. I love his tash. And I was a massive daddy's girl growing up, and I thought he was the smartest man in the world because he was very academic and published books, and even published a book for us. Sadly, one day the mean policeman came to my house forcibly, knocked over my mum, pushed the kiddies out of the way to come and take my father away. And we wondered what he had done. He had done nothing at all, but he had actually overstayed his visa. Obviously, he had come here as a student and started a life and was still studying but working, and had 2 kids, leaving my mum, myself and my sister here. My mum did not work, and we did not see him for over 5 years. It was a very sad day. So as my mum didn't work, we didn't have much money. Well, we didn't have any money. So we ended up moving into some council flats. And you know those high-rise skyscraper box room flats? Oh yeah, we were all living there. Great times. So women being nifty creatures, my mum obviously got a job as a cleaner, and you can see she was very jolly as a cleaner, but she couldn't leave us at home alone, so she used to bring us with her, and she'd start work at about 5 a.m. We would go with her with our sponges and buckets and go and clean offices, and then we would go to school after that. So despite what was going on at home and everything and the lack of sleep, we absolutely loved primary school. I think we went to the best primary school ever. People were so loving, kind. We were like family. And me and my sister always had each other as a support system. So not much could get us down, and we were very happy / delusional, I would say. So we had quite wild imaginations, and we always wanted to be mermaids or princesses, but we always had our hair in braids. So we used to wear tights on our head and skirts on our head and pretend it was hair, and like brush it and talk to ourselves and swim in between duvet covers and pretend it was the ocean. It was very odd, but you know, these are the highlights when you didn't have Barbies. And I was definitely always the princess. So a few years later, things started to look up at home. My mum was able to buy her first council house by basically working her butt off, and we fought every case we could for 5 years in court, and we were able to get my dad back to the UK permanently, and we were able to be a proper family again, which was so wonderful. So when I think of secondary school, the word that comes to mind is meh. I really didn't know where I fitted in. I never really felt part of any group really. I was definitely a floater, and after a while I got sick of one group and moved to another group. But one thing I always was funny, and I always talked. I was very loud, and I was quite annoying sometimes, but I made people laugh. The teachers would tell me to shush, but secretly they loved me. I remember dreading parents' evening because I knew the teachers were going to say I'm too loud, I talk too much. And my mum was one of those women who just did not care. She will shout at you, and she gave me one of the biggest slaps during parents' evening ever, and she just told me to shut up. And she just did not care, and I actually quite applaud her for that. That kind of confidence meant that I really fixed my game up, even though the teacher was secretly laughing. I remember there being a turning point for me when I was at secondary school, and it was when I made the decision to not care anymore. I decided I didn't care what anybody thought about me. I didn't care if people thought I was geeky or weird or odd. I just did not care. I decided to work really hard, and I got moved up in all my subjects to higher classes. I also became a prefect, and that was after the whole prefect round. But I literally went to the head teacher's office every single day, picked up all the registers in the morning and distributed them out to all the other teachers for the year, and that was just because I wanted to get in the good books. But I was willing to work hard to just stand out, and I didn't want the reputation of being bad or difficult or disruptive, and I just stepped my game up, and it was really worth it. And I don't know how I got there, but I'm glad I did. So closer to my final years at secondary school, I got bullied slightly by the girls in the year above who just didn't like me very much. And obviously, you know, they would bully me and tell me to fight me after school, and once they leave school, I'd get beaten up. And I remember being quite mouthy and saying, I don't care, you can't do anything to me. Now, I was definitely pretending. I was very, very scared, but you know, I never wanted people to know I was weak. They had also threatened me on a particular day and time that they were going to get me. I remember one of my lovely friends, Halima, lended me her hijab, and I actually wore a hijab all the way home so that they wouldn't recognize me. Oh yeah, guys, that's trickery. I can't say much else about college other than the fact that I absolutely loved it. I made my best friends till this very day, and I actually went to sixth form, but it's the same as college. But like, I found my style there. We were so comfortable, happy and free. It was a beautiful, beautiful environment, and these are just some of my best friends till now. And things are getting even better at home. I think our story is definitely rags to riches. My mum and dad, you know, invested in properties, and we were able to buy ourselves a beautiful detached house in a gorgeous area with a massive garden. And you know, I had to show it off, and I had a house party in the nice area, and it got quite messy, and I remember getting in a lot of trouble, but it was worth it. I've got my party stories somewhere on my vids. And I did date one guy while I was in college. I was quite smitten by him. It did affect my grades slightly, but that didn't last for very long, as he wasn't the nicest individual. And yeah, that's it really. So after college was university, and to be honest, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I ended up doing fashion marketing because I liked clothes. Big mistake, because I absolutely hated the course, and I literally knew nobody and would go in and not speak to anyone. But my social life was absolutely great. I was part of a society, and I partied a lot and had the most amount of fun. I had lots of friends, and life was great outside of uni. I ended up changing my course, and I went on to do accounting and finance. So as I said, I spent a lot of time partying, and Manchester's a small place, so you kind of end up going to some of the same places and seeing the same faces. And I remember seeing this guy with a skinhead and a muscly body. He was a bouncer, and he'd always be at the clubs that I was at, either working or with friends, and it was a small group, so I knew some of his friends. And then one night our groups kind of collided, and he ended up fireman lifting me over his shoulder and stealing me. At this point, we'd never spoken before. He took my phone and he said, if you want it back, you need to give me your number. Anyway, that worked, and we ended up dating. So around that time, I got my first flat, and it should have been a happy time. But I remember feeling very, very lonely. You know what it's like, things change, and a lot of friends kind of left me and went their own way, and I didn't have many friends at this point in time. However, I always had Michael by my side to entertain me, and he really helped me keep my chin up. And I also started doing YouTube around here, and it was so entertaining that who needed friends when you had the internet? Anyway, uni was over and I graduated with a 2-1. Sadly, I actually missed my graduation because I began interning. So after uni, I had to leave Manchester and come down to London, and it was a really confusing time for me and Michael then, because we didn't know what we wanted to do, and we hadn't decided to be long distance. So we actually broke up for a period of time. I kind of got caught up in my internship, which was at the Bull, Merrill Lynch. If you don't know what the Bull is, it's a really horrible looking bull right now, but it was a great experience. The world was our oysters. We had money, networked, and we thought we were amazing, and it was an amazing experience. I made some great friends while I was there, and I got the offer at the end of the day. At this point in time, I'd got really tired of the lifestyle I was living. I had the money, I had the job, but I was missing God, and I got baptized, and I was ready to just live a life that was dedicated to more than myself, and I felt such a peace. And Michael actually ended up moving to London, and a couple of years later he finally proposed to me. I was a very happy woman. And we had a beautiful wedding with lots of guests. We could share our wonderful day with our friends and family, and we were so happy. We've also traveled as much as we could over the past year, from Mauritius to Spain to Thailand, and these are all the other places we're dreaming of going to very soon, all across the world. And most recently we just bought our first home together. I must say it was blood, sweat and tears, but it's absolutely worth it. And obviously through this whole time I've worked one job, lost it, had a new job, and I'm currently starting a new role. But what has been consistent is YouTube for the past 3 years, and the key part of that is you guys. You guys have been a wonderful support, and you don't know how you've encouraged me in so many ways. I'm so grateful that I've been able to share with you, and that you guys have actually helped me more than you could ever know.